Question. This is important to realize that you do not have a graphing calculator for this one. So you need to make sure that you can do this one without a graphing calculator. So if x minus 4, well, first it says select all the polynomials that have x minus 4 as a factor. If it is a factor, that means that when I divide it by using that reverse box, that I should get this perfect constant set up. So I'm going to set up my reverse box here. I'm going to get x minus 4 on the side. Remember, I'm starting with x cubed here. So that must have meant that I multiplied this by x squared. X squared times negative 4 is negative 4x squared. Now this one is the one that has a trick. And of course, it's the first one you do. But these two are the x squared constants. So they need to combine together to equal the x squared from this polynomial. But if you look, there is no x squared. So that means that they must have had a 0x squared. So these two need to add to a 0x squared. So this is a positive 4x squared. So that means I must have multiplied by 4x. 4x times negative 4 is negative 16. These two, that's negative 16x. These two need to add to the negative 13x. This needs to equal negative 13x. So this must be a 3x. That must have multiplied by 3, and then 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. If this negative 12 is the same as this, that means that I can make all these factors. So this is, this does have a factor of x minus 4. Right, so I would need to do that with all of them. So same thing, I set up my box. I'm checking to make sure x minus 4 is over here. And I'm solving this x cubed, so that means I multiplied by x squared. These two together go together. They have to equal 8x squared. So that means this must have been a 7x squared, so they add up to 8. So I must have multiplied by 7x. 7 times negative 4 is negative 28x. Now these two need to add up to 19. So in order to add that up to 19, I have to add 47x to get 19. And so that must have been that I multiplied this by 47, and 47 times negative 4 is definitely not positive 12. So this is definitely not an answer. And then you need to do the same thing for C and D. Now, remember, you don't have a graphing calculator for this one. So you could also use the remainder theorem, which means that if x minus 4 equals 0, that means if I plug in 4 and get 0, it would work. So like I could plug in 4 here, but the problem is that this math is so big, you probably need a graphing calculator to do it. But if it's a simpler problem that you could plug in a 4 there, that would work. But otherwise just do the reverse box. So I'm not going to do all of them, but for the video, but A and D are the ones that both work. So once you do the reverse box for this, notice that these two are like terms, so there should be 11x when you do it. So again, you would have a 0x squared. And then this one, when you do the reverse box, you would end up with a negative 8 here, which is what we want to have. If you have any other questions on how to do these, just ask your teacher to show you C and D.